Hey y'all, this is Philly the Learn to Grow guy. Today I'm sitting at the other cabin where I need to be doing some work so I can finish it out so I can move out of the other cabin and move into this one. So anyway, the topic for today is Japanese beetles, and here's the thing pertaining to the Japanese beetles. I've been going around for the past couple of weeks and it seems that the number of Japanese beetles seems to be diminishing. Um, Last year, the year before, when I used to go out to handle the Japanese beetles, I used to have a bowl full by the end of the day, and now it's taking forever to fill a bowl with the Japanese beetles. Now, if you would remember, I have been using several processes, okay, to try to get rid of these beetles. The first process I think you guys remember that I've done, and you guys can look at one of the previous videos. And what you'll notice is that the St. John's, I believe it's St. John's, it's the Milky spores, okay? It's the Milky spores that I used. That was the first thing that I used out here for Japanese beetles, because Japanese beetles have been devouring the grapes, apples, and a variety of things. And in today's day and time, they're even attacking my strawberries, okay? So the first thing that I use out here has been that the product made by, I believe it is St. John's, and it is Milky spores. Okay, now the whole concept of Milky spores is that it's a bacteria and it has been bred to target exclusively the Japanese beetles. So therefore, when you're trying to work with the Japanese beetles, trying to get rid of the Japanese beetles, that is a product that focuses on delivering bacteria in the soil to attack and destroy or devour the Japanese beetles' grubs underground before they surface in the spring. Okay, that's product number one. Okay, product number two has been beneficial nematodes. Okay, last year I put out some beneficial nematodes. I sprayed them out I sprayed them around as far as I could, so that those nematodes, if you understand nematodes, they're like little creatures that live in your soil, okay? And the purpose of that is so that what they'll do in your soil is that they'll eat bugs, okay? And if they run out of food, in some cases, certain varieties, I believe certain varieties, it could be all of them, I'm not 100% sure, they will start attacking the roots of some of your plants. However, as long as there are bugs for them to eat on the ground, there are grubs for them to consume on the ground, they will do their job and take care of those things. Okay? And Japanese beetles is one of those things, that beneficial nematodes. And again, please understand this about beneficial nematodes. There are different varieties of them, okay? They come in different flavors, okay? Some flavors of beneficial nematodes, they will attack ticks. They'll attack a variety of different things, okay? But number two has been beneficial nematodes. The other thing that I've been doing is going around with a bowl with some dishwashing detergent in it with some water, okay? You don't need that much dishwashing detergent, okay? All you need is a small amount and some water in the bowl, and those two working together, all you have to do is go around and simply put the bowl under the Japanese beetles, all right? And when you do that, typically, and especially if you cover over the top where the Japanese beetles are, they typically will drop off from whatever bush branch that they're on and onto your bowl. Worst case scenario, you may have to work it out and wiggle them off of the plants, wiggle them off of the leaf, wiggle them off of the branch, and they typically will come off and they will fall into your bowl, okay? By doing that, what I have done is that I've reduced the number of Japanese beetles that will fly onto the ground after mating and depositing eggs. Now, Japanese beetles have a lifespan of about 30 to 45 days, and during that time they'll lay about 45, 50 eggs in the ground. What they'll do is that they'll fly back and forth from the host plant that they like to go to, and once they mate, after eating, they'll go back to the ground, find a nice spot, and there they will land, and they will burrow into the ground up to, I think, up to about 4 inches, and there they will lay their eggs, come back out, and then they go back to the host plant, wherever it is that they like to eat, and they'll mate there, they'll eat there, and then they fly back. It's a cycle of going back and forth, mating and feasting, okay, mating and feasting and laying eggs. Okay, that's what they like to do, and the key thing is, remember, whenever you're trying to get rid of anything, the key thing is to try to break the life cycle, break something in the life cycle. Everything that I've spoken to you so far, well, I'm sorry, the first two things I've spoken to you so far, what those two things do is that they break the life cycle in the stage when they're underground, okay, when they're in the grub stage. But dropping them off into the bowl, what that does is that it reduces their numbers, and if you have less of them going to the grounds to lay eggs and such, that means that you're going to have less, okay, you're going to have less eggs in the ground to hatch for the following year, okay? All right, now the last method I've done is that by using that tool, that tool that I use, the white fabric that brides use to say, look at me, I'm pure and I'm chaste and I'm getting married to my favorite guy. Okay, so anyway, in using tool, what I've done is that I've actually blocked off their food source, okay? So what that means for them in turn is that their favorite host plant is no longer there. And some of them will still continue to land on the tool thinking that they're going to have access to that particular plant. But you just use method 3, which is to flick them into the little bowl, and that'll get rid of them, okay? That'll get rid of them. So that's the fourth method, is to cut off their food supply, and I did that with tool, okay? And even with the tool, they're still flying around and such. And again, if I'm employing method number 3, which is flicking them into the bowl, okay, with a dish soap, that gets rid of them. That breaks the cycle in the adult stage, and it keeps them from laying so many eggs for next year's generation. So what that means for me at this point is that means that with the amount that I'm collecting, which is nowhere near what I was getting last year, which means that the beneficial nematodes, and which also means that the Milky spores, they must have been successful in what they were doing, and also in what I was doing last year, which was to reduce their numbers by flicking them into the dish soap. That helped as well. Now, by cutting off the food source, all I did is that I tried to get odds are they're going to try to go someplace else and find some other plant. And to me, as long as they fly off my property, I am all good with that, okay? I don't have a problem with that, okay? Now, what that means for somebody else, that means that somebody else may be getting some of those Japanese beetles that left my property, okay? Now, here's the thing. If you live in the city, it doesn't matter what you do, you won't be able to get rid of them. And I'm saying that unless there's only one remedy, okay, and here's that remedy. That remedy would be to get all of your neighbors involved in trying to get rid of the Japanese beetles, okay? Which means that they got to do the flicking into the bowl, which means that the favorite plant that these Japanese beetles like to feast on, you need to cover them up, which also means that the beneficial nematodes, as well as the St. John's Milky spores, you need to employ all of those methods. Okay, the more methods that you employ, in getting rid of them, the faster I think you guys can get your some results in the city. Again, you got to get your entire community involved, otherwise it's not going to work. Now that means that the people that live around the peripheral, the outer edges of your community, they may suffer with the Japanese beetles because of the people around them. Okay, people that's on the outside of your community's perimeter. Some of those people, they're not deploying the weapons that you're using against the Japanese beetles, which means that they're still lingering around. Okay, so my viewpoint overall, it needs to be an effort made by everybody in whatever community, whatever town that you're in. I think if you can get everybody on board, that's the only way you're going to try to get rid of them. And I'm from the city of Chicago. And I know that in the city of Chicago, there is nowhere in the world I was going to be able to get everybody on board to try to do that, unless somebody get a campaign going. Okay, I believe I read something, and I think it's in Canada, someplace in Canada, they were trying to. I think the city got involved in trying to get rid of Japanese beetles. I forget what town that was in, but nonetheless, I think in Canada that's what they're trying to do there. So again, 4 methods. Okay, 4 methods. Okay, 4 methods. Okay, and method number 1 has been Milky spores. Okay, and Milky spores, by the way, it comes in 2 forms. It comes in a very fine powder, and the other way is it comes in a granule. And the granule that is actually there is like very tiny little pebbles and stuff like that that helps distribute the powder. Okay, you can use it. You can use a spreader with that one. And I don't recommend the hand spreader, because if you actually look at the first video, my hands and my arms, they were so white from the Milky spore dust and such. It was just ridiculous. Okay, I don't recommend that. If you're going to use a spreader, use the kind that you push and walk behind. Okay. Again, with the Milky spores, in trying to get that spread out, when you get the fine powder, there's a tube that you got to use. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to link all the previous videos pertaining to fighting Japanese beetles and the pertaining to the Milky spores, as well as the beneficial nematodes. Okay, I'll try to connect that in the notes or whatever of this video. So, and again, item number 3 would be using the soap dish, and item number 4 is to cut off their food supply. Okay, which means that you cover the plants that they like to land on and they like to mate on and they like to feed on. Okay, if you can take care of those 4, you will see a result. This is for people who lives on farms, people who lives wherever you live at. Okay, but again, if you live in a city, you're going to have to try to get everybody in your community on board. And the key thing is that you'll see the results in the upcoming years. You're not going to get rid of everything in 1 year, and you're not going to get rid of everything in 2 years. Okay, right now I'm going on whatever number of year this is. Next year is going to be. Since I've been battling these jokers, and like I said, right now I'm seeing the numbers overall all throughout the property diminish dramatically as far as the amount of Japanese beetles I've been collecting in the dish soap bowl, and the amount of Japanese beetles I'm actually seeing on the plants that's not even covered. Okay, I've got a lot of plants. I got some peaches that are not covered, and I'm not seeing nowhere near the same numbers of Japanese beetles I saw last year on those, which means that again, the stuff is something is attacking them on the ground. And by the way, they do have some predators. I've seen a few predators. One of them looked like what is that bug? It's like a squash bug, but the only thing is that it's got red on it. It's got some red on it. And I've seen those capture a few. I've seen some other big bugs. They've captured a few, but there's not many of those bugs around to make a significant effect, to have a significant effect on them. So stick with the methods I've told you. Nature's going to take care of some, but do the best that you can. And I think that the methods I've been using, I think that those help. And in all actuality, by the end of the year, I'm actually thinking about putting out another dose of Milky spores to try to spread that throughout as much of this property as I can. And hopefully next year, I shouldn't be seeing too much of anything, or if I see anything, shouldn't be that many. And hopefully nature will be able to take care of them through the predatory bugs I've seen out here. Okay, well, anyway, that's all I've got for you guys. I hope this is of some use to you. Please be sure to like, share, subscribe, and please leave a message. If you have any comments that you could add that could help somebody else out, please do the same. And let's see what we can do about getting rid of those immigrants that came from Japan. I'm not talking about the people, I'm talking about the bugs, okay? All right, y'all. Y'all take care. Yes, please leave comments, okay? And I'll talk with you guys later. Thanks.